daughter of Señor Ramirio. Wherewithal Violenta, vexed beyond measure, pressed with ire and fury, withdrew herself into her chamber alone, and there began to scratch and tear her face and hair, like one that was mad and out of her wits, saying, "Alas, alas, what paine and trouble, what immeasurable torment suffereth now my poore afflicted mind, without comfort or consolation of any creature living. O Fortune, Fortune, the enemy of my felicity and blisse, thou hast so deprived me of all remedy, as I dare not so much as to make any man know or understand my mishap, that the same might be revenged, which being done would render such content to my mind, as I should not depart out of this world the best satisfied maiden that ever died. Alas, that the gods did not grant me the benefit that I might have come of noble kind, to the intent that I might have caused that traitorous ruffian to feel the grievous pain and bitter torments which my poor heart sustaineth. O wretched caitiff that I am, abandoned and forlorn of all good fortune! Now I do see that with the eyes of my mind, which with those of my body, dazzled and deceived, I could not see or perceive. Ah, cruel enemy of all pity, dost thou not know and feel in thy mind the heavy and sorrowful sound of my bitter plaints? Understandest not thou my voice that crieth vengeance upon thee for thy misdeed? Can not thy cruelty in nothing be diminished, seeing me dismembered with the terror of 1,000 furious martyrdoms? O ingrateful wretch, is this now the reward of my love, of my faithful service, and mine obedience?" And as she thus bitterly tormented herself, her mother and brethren, and her maid, which was brought up with her from her tender years, went up to the chamber to Violenta, where they found her then so deformed with rage and fury, that almost she was out of their knowledge. And when they went about to reduce her by all means possible from those furious pangs, and saw that it nothing availed, they left her in the keeping of the old maiden, whom she loved above any other. And after the maiden had uttered unto her particularly many reasons for the appeasing of her griefe, she told her that if she would be quiet a little while, she would go and speak to the knight Didaco, and make him to understand his fault, and would with discreet order so deal with him, that he should come home to her house. And therefore she prayed her to arm herself against this wickedness, and to dissemble the matter for a time, that hereafter she might use upon him just revenge. "No, no, Ianique," answered Violenta, "that offence is very small and light where counsel is received, and albeit that I cannot choose but confess thine advice to be very meet, yet there wanteth in me a mind to follow it, that if I did feel any part in me disposed to obey the same, I would, even before thy face, separate that mind from my wretched body. For I am so resolved in the malice and hatred of Didaco, as he cannot satisfy me without life alone. And I believe the gods did cause me to be born with mine own hands to execute vengeance of their wrath and the losse of mine honour. Wherefore, Ianique, if from my love thou didst ever love me, shew now the same to me by effect, in a matter whereunto thy help is most necessary. For I am so outraged in my mischiefe, as I do envy the miserablest creatures of the world, remaining no more in me to continue life in wailing and continual sighes, but the title of a vile and abominable whore. Thou art a stranger, and livest here a beastly life, joined with continual labour. I have 1200 crowns, with certain jewels which that false traitor gave me, which he predestinated by the heavens for none other purpose but to pay them their hire, which shall do the vengeance upon his disloyal person. I do put the same money now into thy hands, if thou wilt help me make sacrifice with the body of poor Didaco. But if thou dost deny me thy help, I will execute the same alone, and in case he do not die as I do intend, he shall be murdered as I may, for the first time that I shall see him with mine eyes, come of it what will, his life shall be dispatched with these 2 trembling hands which thou seest." Ianique, seeing her mistress in these terms, and knowing of her stout nature endued with a manly and invincible stomach, after she had debated many things in her mind, she determined wholly to employ herself for her mistress in that she was able to do. Moved partly with pity to see her mistress dishonoured with a defamed marriage, and partly provoked with covetousness to gain so great a sum of money, which her mistress did offer if she would condescend to her enterprise, thinking, after the fact committed, to flee into some other country. And when she was thoroughly resolved upon the same, she embraced Violenta, and said unto her, "Mistress, if you will be ruled by me, and give over the vehemence of your wrath and displeasure, I have found a way for you to be revenged upon Didaco, who hath so wickedly deceived you, and albeit the same cannot be done secretly, but in the end it must be known, yet I doubt not but the cause declared before the judges, and they understanding the wrong ye have done you, they will have compassion upon your misery, who know right well that always you have been known and esteemed for a very honest and virtuous maiden. And to the end that you may be informed how this matter may be brought to pass, first you must learn to dissemble your grief openly, and to feign yourself in any wise not to be offended with the new marriage of the knight. Then you shall write unto him a letter with your own hand, letting him thereby to understand the pain that you suffer for the great love you bear him, and you shall humbly beseech him sometimes to come and visit you. And sith that froward fortune will not suffer you to be his wife, yet that it would please him to use you as his lover, that you may possess the second place of his love, sith by reason of his new wife you cannot enjoy the first. Thus the deceiver shall be beguiled, by thinking to have you at his commandment as he was wont to do, and being come hither to lie with you, we will handle him in such wise as I have invented, that in one night he shall lose his life, his wife, and her whom he thinketh to have for his lover. For when he is abed with you, and fallen into his first sleep, we will send him into another place, where in a more sounder sleep he shall everlastingly continue. Violenta all this time, which fed her bloody and cruel heart with none other repast but with rage and disdain, began to be appeased, and found the counsel of Ianique so good, as she wholly purposed to follow the same. And to begin her enterprise, she prayed Ianique for a time to withdraw herself until she had written her letter, by the tenor whereof she should understand with what audacity she would prosecute the rest. And being alone in her chamber, taking pen and paper, she wrote to Didaco with feigned heart, as followeth: Señor Didaco, I am persuaded that if you will vouchsafe to read and peruse the contents of these my sorrowful letters, you shall be moved with some compassion and pity by beholding the true image of my miserable life portrayed and painted in the same, which through your disloyalty and breach of promise is consumed and spent with so many tears, sighs, torments, and griefs, that divers times I marvel how nature can so long support and defend the violent assaults of so cruel a martyrdom, and that she hath not many times torn my feeble spirit out of this cruel and mortal prison, which maketh me to think and believe, by continuing life, that death himself has conspired my misery, and is the companion of my affliction, considering that by no torment she is able to make division between my soul and body. Alas, how many 100,000 times in a day have I called for death, and yet I cannot make her to recline her ears unto my cries. Alas, how many times am I vanquished with the sharp torments of sorrow, ready to take my leave and last farewell of you, being arrived at the extreme pangs of death. Behold, Didaco, mine ordinary delights, behold my pleasures, behold all my pastime. But yet this is but little in respect of that which chanceth in the night. For if it happen that my poor eyes do fall asleep, weary with incessant drawing forth of well springs of tears, slumbering dreams cease not then to vex and afflict my mind with the cruellest torments that are possible to be devised, representing unto me by their ugly and horrible visions the joy and contentation of her which enjoyeth my place, whereby the greatest joy which I conceive is not inferior to cruel death. Thus my life, maintained with continuation of sorrows and griefs, is persecuted in most miserable wise. Now, as you know, I daily pass my sorrow under painful silence, thinking that your old promises, confirmed with so many oaths, and the assured proof which you still have had of my faith and constancy, would have brought you to some order. But now, seeing with mine eyes the hard metal of your heart, and the cruelty of my fate, which wholly hath subdued me to your obedience for respect of mine honour, I am forced to complain of him that beateth me, and thereby despoileth me both of mine honour and life, not vouchsafing only so much as once to come unto me. And uncertain to whom I may make recourse, or where to find redress, I appeal unto you, to the end that, seeing what lean and ugly state I am, your cruelty may altogether be satisfied, which beholding a sight so pitiful, wherein the figure of my torment is lively expressed, it may be moved to some compassion. come hither then.